Hi, welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, well, we're back working on the Astute 2022. Now, if you haven't seen the previous two videos in this series, I'll put a link up here, one to the unboxing and one to where we built the chassis up. But on this video, we're going to cut out, paint up, add the decals and take it for a run and call this project done. So if that's something that interests you, well, you better stick around. Right, we're all set, ready to go. So the first thing we've got to do is remove this overhang, as it just gets in the way when you're trying to cut nicely to the lines. Now I'm just going to use a pair of curved scissors, new ones too, woohoo. I wore my other ones out. So going to use those, so that should give me a nice tight cut to everything. There's quite a lot to cut out on this because we've got an internal cockpit to do as well, and we've got the 4 wheel arches to cut out. Then once I've cut all that out, we've got to sand it all nice and smooth. I do see quite a few people that don't do this step, so they end up with like jaggedy bits. It's definitely worth spending a bit of time sanding down the edges to get them nice and smooth, and you'll get your curves really nicely and it'll just look a bit more professional. After that, on this body, we've got to actually make the holes for the posts, as this one has the dots but it doesn't actually have the holes. Some do, some don't. Make sure it all fits up nicely. And then that's one big thing done. Then we've got to give it a good clean. Why? Well, this release agent, that when they make them, they can pop them off and they don't stick, so that can live in here. As well as while you're cutting out, you put your oily fingers over everything. So I just use standard washing up liquid. After that, we've got to let it dry, make sure there's no water on it. Then we're going to paint it up. I personally back all my stuff. You can just paint it up. I'm going to paint this box art, which is PS60, which is bright mica red. Never used this one before. There is quite a few reds in the PS line from Tamiya, so you could maybe do metallic red if you wanted to. Choice is yours, or you can go any colour you like, but I'm going to do box art because I'm boring. Then I'm going to back it in PS white, which I might try silver as well. I don't know, maybe I'll do white, maybe I'll do silver. I'll have a quick look and see if I've got any silver. Then I will back it in black. This is PS5, and then I've got PS31, which is smoke, to do the canopy area. Why do I do that? Well, you don't necessarily have to. You could just paint it red and leave it like that. But I like to have the inside of the car dark black. It just looks more professional when you're looking through the windows, especially on road cars and things. If you've just got like a white body or a different colour, you can see it all inside. So doing it in dark means it kind of hides all the inside aspects of it. But it is a lot more money and a lot more work. So that pretty much covers everything. Oh, and then we've got the spoiler to do as well. So there's quite a lot to get on with. So we better shut up and get on with it. Well, it's surprising how long you can spend getting your body ready for paint and getting everything sanded down nicely after spending a while cutting it out. The hours can tick past, but we're at that stage now. I've just covered up the canopy and the viewing windows for the front suspension. I'm going to smoke these as well as the cockpit once we're done. It doesn't look too difficult. Basically, we just paint it all red. The bits that go over the wheel arches, they're red as well. The internal cockpit is just black and the rear spoiler is clear, so you don't have to do anything with that at all apart from put the stickers on. So it shouldn't take us too long to paint it up. Now, one tip that I've always said, when you put down your paint, nice smooth layers, thin layers. Don't hold over the body, move through it, move through it, move through it. And if you think that there's a bit missing, just leave it, get it on the next pass. Don't go back and try and cover it up just that little bit, because that's when you hold it and that's where you end up with a nice big puddle. So you don't want that. So slow and steady and less is more. Right, let's paint it up. So that's the first time I've used PS60 red and I am really liking it. I'll definitely use it on some other builds for sure. It pops, it's very vibrant, very Ferrari-like. So I'm really happy with it and it shows off the lines of the body really well. Now, when you're going to do smoke on your windows, make sure you use the lightest coat and you want to be moving as fast as possible. Also, you want to make sure that the tin of paint is warm. Don't do it on a cold day because you need the liquid to be as smooth as possible. You don't want a heavy coat at all. You want a dusting, but you don't want to be too far away from it. Otherwise, the paint dries too much before it actually touches the polycarbonate. The painting went really well and I'm happy with it, and like I said, I love this colour. I'm definitely going to use it again for sure. But one thing I'm really surprised at is it shows up the lines of the body, and there's a few of the lines on this body I think are brilliant and they look beautiful. And then there's the odd little clunky bit. What I love about it the most, how smooth and sleek it is. This whole front section going along here, they did a fantastic design job on that. It's so smooth and it's uninterrupted. And then you've got this little tiny air intake at the front. It's just enough. It's beautiful. The canopy is so close to being beautiful. It's just that little bit too bulbous. But as it drops down at the back, it's gorgeous. It just needs to shave off just a little bit. Also, I think for anyone that's going to be running these, I think you're going to get a bit annoyed that this part of the canopy is going to get scratched so easily. And being that it's right on the top, I think it's going to ruin your bodies pretty quickly. So that's a bit of a shame. But overall, this colour definitely looks much nicer and I am more of a fan of this body. Some things I still don't like, apart from the canopy aspect, these side pods to me feel like they were added on afterwards because the battery runs along and it's to try and make it fit. Because of this beautiful sweeping line that you got here, it would be nice if this was sweeping in more than just cut in, because this looks like a separate part to the rest of the body. So having these more blended would definitely be a way to go. But I'm pretty sure there is some aftermarket body manufacturers out there, they know who they are, that hopefully will be able to just trim that down a little bit and maybe blend in a few bits and pieces, and then we'll end up with a absolutely stunning body that I think people could really get into this car. Right, that's enough waffle. What's next? We've got to cut out the decals. They don't look too difficult, but then sometimes you'd be surprised, things take longer than you expect. Right, let's cut the decals out, get them on, then we've got the person to paint, the driver, and then we can take it for a blast. So we better shut up, get on with it. So I'm going to call that done. What do I think? Well, we got to put it around the BGRAT track, and luckily it's now ready and it's dry enough for us to take it out and set a time and see how it drives. So in a minute we're going to do that and see how it gets on. But what's my honest opinion of this? Well, I kind of went into this not too sure. After building the TD4, which is the Super Avanti, I didn't really like that one at all, even though I like the chassis, but didn't get on with it at all. This one, on the other hand, completely different. I really enjoyed this one. The box art colour is beautiful. This red is stunning, very vibrant. And one thing that I've always wanted Tamiya to do was create character cars. What does that mean? Well, it's to produce things that aren't just about how fast it is around the track, but to have its own personality and be different and do its own thing. And I have to say, Tamiya, they've just knocked it out of the park with this one. As I was building it, I actually felt like I was building something older, like it was a vintage Tamiya. Not in the quality stake, but the actual personality aspect of it. It's true Tamiya, this one. So I was really surprised and I had an absolute blast building it. It was the only car I've built so far that actually had that kind of essence of building kits back in the day. It's got exhaust pipes, it's got this kind of quirky body and the colours and the driver in it. And it's just very different, and it's real Tamiya. It's like the essence of what Tamiya was all about back in the day. They've actually done it. So I was completely wrong with this one. Right, let's go take it out and see how it drives. One of mine. one of them. This one's going to be the first one. That's probably as good as it's going to get, to be fair.
I think so.
9.87. I think that's going to be the best one. And after my first drive, what did I think? Yeah, silky smooth, very smooth, quite quiet buggy as well. Obviously, don't put a silver can motor in it like I did because it needs brushless. This is a modern buggy and it's kind of designed that way. It just feels like putting a brushed motor in this is just too slow. So I'm definitely going to upgrade the electronics in this, Savox servo to make the steering a bit faster, probably a slightly better ESC, and definitely a brushless, probably hobby wings is the way I normally go. So it did set a time, but obviously it's not going to set the world on fire. It did it in 9.87, which is quite far down the list, but it wasn't the car, it's just lack of power. Control was there and I really enjoyed it. So I'm definitely going to throw some better electronics in this, and that's kind of why I have two now. Don't tell Rebecca.